Let's take a look at some information and charts on Polkadot for BraveNewCoin. So Polkadot is a proof-of-stake network, potential ETH killer, potential ETH dominator, aggregator, parachains, paraswaps, Babe, Ghost, consensus, whatever. We'll take a look at it all. I love on the website, it slices, it dices, it does everything better than everybody else. That remains to be seen. They're certainly trying to be innovative. We'll see if it works out for them. We'll look at some stats here. The consensus mechanism is called Grandpa Babe. I bring this up because it's important to know what the consensus mechanism of all this stuff is at the end of the day. Could I explain to you exactly what this means? Not really, but it is a what they call proprietary proof-of-stake mechanism. So it does have validators, very similar to EOS, Tezos, anything else with a validator, right? And they go on to talk about all this other stuff, right, that is only important when it's important to most people. Nobody's going to really pay attention to this for the most part when they're speculating on DOT on an exchange. Let's be honest here. So they're currently in the parachain rollout phase, KSM, Kusama being the one that's maybe the household name. And I think at one point KSM was worth more in market cap than DOT, but I might be wrong on that. I haven't checked lately. And their blog posts lately have all been about KSM and parachains. The issue here is the same issue people have with ETH. It's like ETH did an ICO, and then it's a machine to create more ICOs and more pipe dream pipeline projects that never come to fruition, right? So maybe they're building empty cathedrals here. Time will tell, right? It's early. I think that's the big thing, the big theme here with Polkadot. It is early. It is extremely early in development. They're certainly trying to do stuff and things. We'll see if that matters in the end. This is the supply curve currently at this time point. Now, I don't know what percentage of Web3 and auction investors have liquid supply necessarily. It says liquid supply, but I don't know if some of this is locked up in some way, vested in some way. Is Web3 just selling, right? These are the important things to find out if you plan on being a long time holder of anything. Like, what's the true inflation here as far as distribution on circulating supply? Here are some of the validators. I don't quite understand what's going on here with total transactions, total balance. I don't know if they need a bond. I don't really know what's going on. But it's important to make sure that these are geographically separated by conflicts of interest. Here's a venture capital firm. It looks like you don't want this to be dominated by VCs. You don't want this to be dominated by exchanges. You don't want this to be dominated by validators in China. And I can't really tell because many of them look like they're anonymous or pseudonymous at the moment. And that may change over time. Total transaction counts on DOT, aside from this May spike, are slowly rising over time and are certainly up since the launch and are up even over the past couple days. Average transaction values are down as transactions are rising, which makes sense from May to September. And I don't know if there's a lot that you can do with DOT at the moment. I don't think there's DeFi on DOT. I don't think there's NFTs on DOT. I don't think there's ICOs on DOT besides parachains, right? So I don't know necessarily what you can do with it other than speculation. Active addresses keep rising, which at the outset is incredibly bullish for any chain. And if we zoom in a little bit, look at NVT. NVT is kind of flat. Nothing too dramatic here, but clearly something's going on. Maybe this is increasing in staking over time. You'll see this on Tezos as well, where it looks like, active addresses are so amazing at all-time highs nonstop, when in reality, a lot of this is just staking related. If we look at the active accounts by day, this kind of mirrors that active address picture from Coinmetrics. This is on Polkascan. So there's definitely the S-curve of adoption, I guess you could say, is happening. And it looks like 64% of the network is being staked with a 4.26 adjusted reward, which is certainly better than most other proof of stake platforms. Looks like you need 40 DOT to participate, and there's a 28-day lockup. So there's a little bit of a bond there for delegation, and there is a bond for validators, 350 DOT, it looks like, with a 28-day vesting period or lockup period. So these are getting closer to holding USDC on Aave or Comp or wherever else. So if you want to expose yourself to volatility, something like DOT over most other platforms are probably a better place to do it, because the adjusted reward after inflation is several multiples higher than, say, staking Dash, for instance. If you look at MVRV, which is a measure of market cap versus price, it's probably too early to really look at this for DOT, but previously it reached 3x multiple. Currently it's at a 1.65 multiple. For most coins, anything above 2 is the top. So we probably need like 6 to 12 months on this to really understand what's going on here for DOT. But if this thing surges past 2 and gets past 3, that's certainly definitely in the overbought territory based on market cap and on-chain activity. Looking at Polkadot, the search term, which is a real thing in real life, that had a baseline Google Trends interest before Polkadot existed and then exploded after. So this, to me, is pretty clearly Polkadot, the crypto coin, not Polkadot, the design element. And this kind of peaked in January to March. Currently, it's sort of 50% as far as interest relative to where it was in February. So if you expect price to perk back up, you'd certainly want to see Google Trends rising or increasing to match that bullish momentum. Looking at technicals, 5200 cross, yearly pivots, VPVR, and RSI. Price is currently in a bullish 5200 cross, above the 50, above the 200. It kind of survived that doom drop yesterday. And for the most part, as long as this thing can hold above 20, it's probably good to go for a bullish rally into Q4 sometime. It doesn't look as bottomy as it did in all of 2020. You know, it doesn't look like it's setting up for anything massive like that, but nothing in the market right now really does. Time will tell if this morphs into another head and shoulders like it did in February to June, February to May, or whether this will just be, you know, another pullback that's bought up ferociously to get us past 38 to new all-time highs. But right now, I'd say everything's kind of in a holding pattern, neutral, bullish zone. Just needs probably a month or more to just reconsolidate after a 200% rally from the bottom here. On the 12-hour cloud, 12-hour told you to get in around 1850 rather, and it's still saying this trade is safe. You have a key June bounce here. What you don't want to see is price drifting into the cloud or below the cloud, you know, like it started to in March and April. Those are the warning signs that the trend strength is waning. So if you're bullish, you certainly don't want to see that over the next couple weeks. But what this will probably do on the 12-hour is just chop around, and you may or may not get a TK cross recross to the bull side for bullish continuation. Here, you saw a TK cross recross on the bearish side of things, and you got bearish continuation. So this is kind of the expected picture throughout a trend. You get a move, consolidation, TK flips bearish again, and then you get your move, consolidation. You got another move here, you got 3 drives before the eventual reversal. So it's still currently, technically, in an active bullish trend. Against BTC, it looks very similar to the USD chart, kind of above volume areas, above the 50, above the 200. There was a bit of a bear div on this. Volume on Kraken is flat, but probably relatively higher than a lot of the other stuff on Kraken. And this looks fine as long as it's above 50K sats. Anything below that, and it probably starts to chop around between 30 and 50. But if you're bullish on this against BTC, you definitely want to see it hold that 50K level. And against ETH on Kraken, it's setting up for a bullish 5200 cross with ETH fees just getting astronomically expensive to do anything. So that'll certainly help competitors like DOT move in price very similar to Sol. I mean, I could see people rotating from the flavor of the week Solana to some other flavor of the week like DOT. Doesn't necessarily mean either of these have a future relative to ETH, but it's just market stressors in action. You know, if nobody can transact on ETH, then they're going to go elsewhere. So if DOT can enable some sort of swaps or DEXs or something, I don't know, whatever it takes to get people off of Solana, off of ETH, incentivize use on DOT, that would be the next step for them. But technicals are set up to sort of win against ETH over the next 3 months, I'd say. Lastly, let me just mention the ETH BTC fund and DeFi portfolio. I trade for Techme Capital on Enzyme.finance, a non-custodial portfolio management solution where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything including AUM, performance, allocation, all of the yield plays I'm in here, along with all the trades and the trades tab down below. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.